Tashindele lo tutso tashtele kenla kusudevo imbela.
Oh, dewi testele sindiala ani ngat dewi ani lobruk solaya testele.
So we're back for our week 5, day 4. Yes, because it's a shorter week this week. Going to of our lesson 12, we were discussing there. So yesterday we had introduced you to tup and to see and then to tup see, and we had seen examples and all of the different conjugations that were there. Now today we will introduce you an explanation about go that we want to give you. Go can also function as a main verb, and therefore there's going to be it's very self-explanatory, but we want to make sure that you have the instruction as to how to use go also as a main verb and not just a secondary verb. So this is what we're going to introduce. Okay, so let me begin by saying that Nyong is, so it is spelled Maya Tanyana or Nyonga Nyong, okay?
That's
And
right.
this comes from this comes from classical Tibetan, and it means to experience. It's a word that is used in Dharma terminology a lot, that has a lot of very profound meanings regarding spiritual kind of attainment, or even experience of really understanding certain things. In colloquial, Nyong has the sense of having had, in this particular case, having had the experience of something at least once in your life. So you know how in English, when somebody asks you, have you ever had Tibetan tea? When the question is, have you ever had Tibetan tea? The question means, did you already experience in your life at least once the taste of Tibetan tea? And then you say, yes, I have many times, or yes, I have once when I was traveling around the Himalayas, like that. So this is the same that is going to be expressed with Nyong. So the verb is usually in the present tense, the verbal root before Nyong. And then, as I said, it means to have ever done something. So this verb is a little bit different than the other ones that we have seen because it really is conjugated in the present perfect only. All right, so I have had the experience of drinking tea, or I have had the experience of climbing a mountain. So it is only conjugated with the existential auxiliary, as we'll see. Now, let's go with the explanation of tak. Now, when somebody is asking you a question, if somebody is asking me, if Genla asks me, hey, have you ever had Tibetan tea? Then my answer can be, so Genla could me so that students hear it.
That's all. Sindiala charangi pejatungyong yobe.
Oh, so Genla said, Pecha tungyong yobe, that's one option. And there's another option, Genla. Can you say the second option also, please?
charangi pejatungyong에.
Okay. So you could say either tungyong에 or nyong yobe. All right. So we're going to go with the first one. The first one is using the auxiliary for the present perfect. When Genla says tung nyong yobe, then I will answer tung nyong yo. I have had the experience of drinking Tibetan tea. Tung nyong yo. But if Genla asks tung nyong에 just as a shortcut, I can simply answer tung nyong, and I don't have to say anything else. If I'm negating it, I will say tung manyong. And again, if Genla asks me again with the first formula, tung nyong yobe, and I have never drank Tibetan tea and I want to say it like that, then I will say pe cha tung nyong me. Okay, so actually with tak, this is usually when you're responding to these kinds of questions, or when you are yourself wanting to express and to share with the person you're talking to what you've experienced and what you haven't, then you have these two options of either making it very short and just saying nyong or manyong, or actually conjugating it, which is the proper, more proper way to say nyong ye or nyong me. So what I'm trying to say is that it's the auxiliary of the existential verbs that are used, okay? And then that's what happens with tak. Then with shen, it's going to be the same logic. So if we used ye, then we're going to use yore and do, of course, because we are using the existential verbs. So tung, if we use the same example, I could say Genla ki pöcha tungnyong yore. Genla has had the experience of drinking Tibetan tea before, okay? And it's a repeated experience. It's something that he's done many times. That can be one explanation as to when to use inferential, or that actually Genla told me about it and I wasn't there to see it, but he told me about it, so that's how I know. And the negation is nyong yomare. So we know that the negation is like that, okay? The negation of yore is yomare, so that's why it would be nyong yomare. Now there's nyong du and nyong mindu also that is used with shen, okay? So we could say genla ki pecha tung nyong du and genla ki pecha tung nyong mindu. So Genla, I would like for you to explain to the students, please, when it's allowed to say nyong du and nyong mindu, because it's a little bit different than when we say do usually in the normal context. So can you please? Oh,
Taktare di nyong tu ta nyong min tu di pena tanda nga tang sindi ya ngani keje shegi yore sui ko la shegi yore pena rinpoche ko la keje shegi yore rawa choji ni ma rinpoche ko la ani nge sindi ya la keje tire au sindi ya la rinpoche let's say Italy la pemnyong yorebe. That is general question, right? Dine Cynthia ki nge ha kogi me, rewa? Ani je la Cynthia pena mi shenda chigla keja thire, rewa? Keja thine. Oh mi shenda ki rinpoche pemnyong yore. Dine Cynthia la chini ha kore, rewa? Tandarang ha kowa. Discover do la, ira? Chini ha kone je la Cynthia nge thila yon. rinpoche Italy la pemnyong do. Nge tantarang ha kosruwa, yana nge kesa ha kosu, nyeja ha ko batawo. Dinde netang dila pyoje tangre.
Lasso, Genla. This is a great example Genla and I usually give. So Genla and I are having a conversation. And Genla is asking me, do you know if Rinpoche, in this case, Venerable Chökyam Rinpoche, has been to Europe before, ever in his life? Has he ever traveled there? And I say, Rinpoche has been to Europe. And I say, actually, what, I negated it, right, Genla? Or
Re tangbo ngan keje out Cindy la nge keje Rinpoche like Italy yana Europe rewa Europe la pemnyong Europe yana Italy la pemnyong Europe jidang keje rewa ani dine Cindy ki nge hakogi me rewa hakogi me
exactly hakogi taktare. Sorry, I missed that first.
Je la Cindy ki pena rokpa chigla keje thire oh Rinpoche pemnyong Europe ani rokpa tigi Cindy la oh Rinpoche Italy la pemnyong Europe tingma mangpo pemnyong Dine sini ha korwa dine je la Cynthia ki ngala oh rinpoche Italy la pemnyong do nge tandarang oh yana kesa nge rokpa ki ngala lapsong tawa
Taktare. I just missed the point where I forgot that I had to answer. I don't know. Yeah, taktare. And I love to give these scenarios so you can understand. So okay, so the question was, Genla was asking me, so do you know if Chökyam Rinpoche has ever been to Italy or somewhere in Europe? And then I say, hakogime. So I don't know. I know that I don't know. I don't have that information. And then I speak with a friend and I ask a friend, maybe Rinpoche's attendant or someone that travels with Rinpoche, someone that works with Rinpoche. And the person tells me, yes, Rinpoche has been to Italy, has been to Europe. So the way that that answer is given is Pep Nyong Yore. He has been. Pep means to go and to come, as you know, in the honorific. Pep Nyong Yore. Okay? That is the answer of my friend. Now, I am again talking to Genche Gela, and I am going to report what my friend said to me, right? So because I just found out, the friend said, yes, Rinpoche has been to Europe. And the way that is said is Yore. For me, it's an inferential knowledge. And I just found out about it. So I want to relate that information to Genla and say, listen, I just discovered that actually Rinpoche has been to Europe. So how do I say it? With you? I will say, Pep Nyong, do you understand? So the do here, it doesn't mean that I was with Rinpoche when he experienced his first travels to Europe, but that I heard, I just found out from someone else who told me, who confirmed that Rinpoche went. And this is how I am conveying it to Genche Gela. So I just realized, Shine, like Genla is saying, right this moment, right in this circumstance, I'm finding out. And so the do means that. And that's one of the root meanings of do, as you've been studying with us, is that it expresses this discovery and finding out of some information in the moment that you're speaking, in the moment of speech. So that's our explanation. So that's why we're saying use it with caution. Okay? Very good, Genla. Tujiche, should we give the student a couple of examples with Nyong? Would that be okay?
Oh, Lasso, dig it. Let's do the dark side, okay?
So, just like we did in the previous video, all right, please write down very carefully the Tsigdrup that Genla is going to give you so that we can discuss them in class and translate them. So, kuchi, so, kirang so, Genla ki Tsigdrup din so, tina ronang.
Lasso. Okay. Nga kalowa chenyong me. Okay. Nga kalowa chenyong me. That is related to our previous lesson. Okay. Inayang nga modala tenyong ye.
Oh, I love
Inayang
this.
nga modala tenyong ye. Lasso. Let's do one example for Shen. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for. Okay. Keranki. Okay, let's do for Kong. Kongki. Kankor Tangyong Yorebe. Okay. Kongki Kankor Tangyong Yorebe. Lasso. Another sentence. Kongki Kankor Tangyong Mindu. Kongki Kankor Tangyong Mindu. Inayang Kongki Bakpa Tangyong Tu. Inayang Kongki Bakpa Tangyong Tu. Lasso, Sarsong.
Excellent examples using the vocabulary. So I'm excited to see what the Luptuk are understanding. Very good. So we are going to move on now. The verb go. So please note one thing. Okay. But it is really much more pronounced as go without the sa. This happens, you now know that not everything is pronounced the same way that it is spelled, okay? So this is just something that you should know. And it's important because most people do say go, right, Gena? This is good that the students know that.
Lare, especially in our blue zone, right? One of Sherry or Grace asked about the difference of the sorry, the draw and the head. So for the head we say go, right? For the draw we just say go, little bit cut. So the similar sound of the head, go, not like go. Okay, so this is more common Tibetan speak. Then we say go, go, and then they say go, go. Similar pronunciation of the head. Okay, go.
Exactly. So this is good to keep in mind. This is really good to keep in mind so that you don't get confused also when native speakers use it, right? Okay, so this verb is the secondary verb again. We're still in secondary verbs, which means, I repeat it because it's easy to forget, is that we need a verb, a verbal root before using go. And in this case, it will also be in the present inflection or the present verbal root. And what does this mean? This might be one of the most useful secondary verbs there are in the whole language, I think, based on my opinion. At least I do use it on a daily basis multiple times. And it means to have to do something, or when one must do something, the obligation of carrying out an action, right? So this verb, secondary verb go, gets conjugated in the present and in the past tense. And now you will see, okay, why are there so many conjugations? Now, you will see that it is based on the type of obligation or based on the type of awareness or conscientiousness about the kind of obligation that one is expressing. So this verb will require for you to think a little bit more expressing on the kind of expression that the information that you really want to share with the speaker. It's going to be important because that's going to determine the kind of auxiliary that you use. Just keep in mind, and so that you don't get too afraid as to why the chart now has become a little bit longer, is the same rules apply that we have been studying. The same auxiliaries will be there. The same information behind each one of the auxiliaries remains exactly the same. But you have to keep in mind what is the root meaning behind each one of the auxiliaries, so that you know that that is the information that you're conveying by using them. First thing I would like to mention is, why is the key in brackets? You probably have noticed in the past tense there is no key. So just in the future and in the present, you will see that there's a key. And why is that? Because it is optional. When the key is used, it means that it's a lot more forceful, a lot more stronger way of expressing oneself. What you're stating is a lot more categoric if you use the key. Without the key is a little bit less emphasized, less strong. So it's not going to be wrong to choose to use the key. It's not going to be wrong if you omitted it. Okay, if you omit it. All you need to know is that in the past you don't use the key at all. Now, why have we divided future and present and then present again? Just to give you some kind of a flavor as to why there are so many ways of conjugating. So let's look at the future and present first. Both in the present and in the future, you could say verb plus gogire or gore and the negation gogimare or gomare. It is exactly the same for shen. You could say the same thing for shen. So I need to study for the exam. I would be using this version, and he or she needs to study for the exam. We would use the shen version. Or I will need to study for the exam tomorrow, meaning tomorrow I will need to study for the version, gogire. So present and the future there will be exactly the same. Okay, so that is one explanation. The re here has a sense of an obligation that is quite categoric. So that's why I chose the example to say in English. We will do it in Tibetan. I need to study for the exam, or I will need to study for the exam. We would be using re because it means that's a categoric obligation. I kind of have no choice. It's not based on my decision, and it is not based on my likes and dislikes. It is just simply the nature of things. That is how it is, and I must do it. It's a fact. That's why re is used. So the root meaning of re, of being factual and essential, kind of gets carried within this explanation. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So now how do we say, I have to study for the exam? Think about it for a second. Try to write it down if you can. And then you tell us tomorrow in class. Now, Genla, would you like to give us an example different than that in Tibetan? And then I'll continue with the explanation of the two tandawa of the sentence.
So, can you write? I'm just looking for the vocabulary for. Okay. Sani nga shungzap kangla doku gire. Kain sena kesa ngala shungzap kang ne kabar tangchung. Okay, this is kale kaboyore. Sani nga shungzap kangla doku gire. O dokore. Kain sena kesa ngala shungzap kang ne kabar tangchung. Okay. Kabar tang is to call. Okay. Okay. And then we do the for shen. 도공 콩 남탕라 조고래. 가인세나 콩 치게라 도야래. 콩 치게라 도야래. 그래서 되게도 살소.
So now titandawa, the present tense. Now in the present tense, you see that in dak we could use go giye, go gime, negation, go gidu, go gimindu. Okay, why can we use either one of them? And the gi always optional. I read it, but it's optional. Now the difference is going to be in whether you're emphasizing that it's a dak obligation, or that you're really aware of that obligation and that you're really assuming it with the conscientiousness of what the dak knows to be true, or whether you are borrowing from Shen. You know, we always have this dance between dak and Shen, right? Whether you are borrowing from the Shen perspective to say, oh, there is this obligation, there is this thing that I must go through, that I must do, and I am finding out about it in this moment, and the do is there to show that discovery upon the moment of speech. Does that make any sense? So when I say, I must, again, let's say the same example, I must study for the test that I have today in the present tense, then if I know that I have a test every week, so you guys have a quiz every Friday, right? So if you're talking to a friend and you're saying, oh, right now I can't really talk to you, I must study for my test today, which you know that you have that test also every week, and the day has come to study for the test, then you would say it with you, because not only are you aware that this is the current situation you're in, but also because it is the present moment, and the you always has this sense of having. I have this obligation right now, right this moment, and I know about it. I'm aware. Maybe I'm opening my agenda here, my timetable, and I see, oh, right now, right, I confirm this is when I need to study for the test, right? Now, if I say the same thing using godu, maybe I had forgotten that there's a test, and maybe my friend just called me to say, hey, did you understand the section of the secondary verbs on go? I didn't really get it. Can we discuss it? Because I need to prepare for the test. And then you say, oh my goodness, yes, we have a test. Then I must study for the test. And you could say with go do, because you just found out, maybe you forgot, And then all of a sudden something reminds you of the fact that you need to study, right? So the do means discovery, finding out, or remembering something you had forgotten. Okay, so you can keep that in mind. Then with the shen side, it's always the same, so we don't have to worry. It's either inferential with yore, go yore, or gogi yore, and the negation, gogi yomare. And then testimonial, gogi do, or just go do, and gogi mindu, or go mindu. I'm not going to explain the difference because you know the difference between inferential and testimonial as always, so shen remains the same. So I think this is it for the present. Yeah, Gela, what do you think?
Lasso. Tartare.
Lasso Gela. Tene peje kuchin.
Lasso, I'm going to make a sentence for tak. Tak la chik tu sogin. Namju nga chuzi jubala kala sagoyu. Kain sena chuzi jukjik bala nga trogo togi ye. Lasso. Ani tanda chuzi jeba simba kamangatu nga zintala rokotu. Okay. And then for Shen, Namju Amala Ningun Kala Soko Yomare. Kain Sena Ajaki Kala Soko Yore. Lasso. Namju Amala Ningun Kala Soko Mare. Soko Yomare. Ajaki Ningun Kala Soko Yore. Lasso. Tene Amala Tanda Chudila Rogotu Kain Sena Kongi Rope Ketang Song. Lasso. Tarsong.
Thank you, Gela. Then in the past tense, there isn't much explanation. It's really in the future and in the present tense that you need to take a little bit of time to digest when using je, when using ye, when using do with that. Okay, with shen, it's always non-problematic. So those are very important things because, as I said at the beginning, they will really change the feeling and the flavor of the information that you're conveying. Okay. Now, in the past tense, it is simply.
Namju nganzoki di samde di yang tindedo pyoche tangdo pena nga lobda la drogo ye, nga lobda la drogo tu, nga lobda la drogo re sirwa. Ta di gang la yang nganzoki tu di maong ba jaba ina, tenzo sangma la maong ba jaba ina, di yang di konzo maong ba la gyur sigire.
Lare, la so.
Dia tuzik di injimezi jagodu, right? Dia jabaina ani karsugore. Tus dia di maomba la yang jutro. Tanda pena tu tanda wa gogi go me go tu go mindu. Dila yang anzoki tuzik di pechutang ba ina. Dia kurang singi maomba la yang jursegedu pena sangi jaboro. Pena sanyi nga lekung la drogo re, sanyi nga lekung la drogo ye, sanyi nga lekung la drogo du. Tenzo jaba ina, konzo rangshin ki yang maung bala rangsing ki jurkitu rawa ti
Right.
yang re
Leso.
tindechi ya yor las
Leso. That's very important to have that information. And when writing this chart, we purposefully didn't write it together. We wanted to explain it. So please make a note somewhere in your chart. This is really important information too. If you have a time adverb that is very clearly indicative of the present tense or the future tense, I'm just talking about these two tables here, or the future and the present, then in that particular case, either of these three can be used. You could say, sorry, for example, if it's about tomorrow, we could say, I have to go to school tomorrow in three different ways. I keep forgetting the titik, Yankat. Sanyi nga lopchala dogore, sanyi nga lopchala dogo yo, and sanyi nga lopchala dogo du. Okay? These three can apply to the future tense as well, as long as the tutik, the adverb of time indicating something that will happen in the future, is there. And the meaning behind the re, the you, and the do is the one that we have just explained. So if I say sanyinga lopchala drogore, I'm just saying categorically tomorrow is a school day, I must go to school tomorrow. I'm aware of it today, and it's a fact, and that's how it is. Sanyinga lopchala drogoyo. If I say that, is that I'm fully aware today that it's my responsibility and I comply with it. And this is what I do every day because I'm a student, that I must go to school. The giyo just means, or the yo means that you have fully embraced it. It's habitual, you know it, you're conscious of it. And you're saying it more from your perspective that you're actually kind of happy to have that responsibility yourself. You're not saying it maybe with the negativity of like, oh no, I don't want to go to school, you know? So that can be also the difference in the feeling. And then would mean, oh my goodness, that you have just opened your book and realized that there is class tomorrow when you thought it was going to be a holiday, but actually you realize that it isn't a holiday. So that can be it. So all three of them also apply for in the future, as long as your tutsik, your adverb of time, is there. Okay, we hope that is clear. Now, as I was saying, the past tense doesn't require a lot of. You just need to know, it's super important to know that chung is the conjugation for the past. So go chung, and the negation will be go ma chung. And chung is also there for shen. So go chung pare with inferential. The negation of the inferential is go chung yo mare. And then testimonial for shen is going to be go chung song. And the negation go chung mas. So know that chung will be part of the conjugation. With shen, you need, of course, pare, and you and then in back only chung. So because you're going to have a verb here preceding go and then chung and then pare. All right, so just a bit of just new information for you, but you'll get used to it very quickly. And chung really has the sense of like something that happened to you, the speaker, and conjugations. Okay, so I think that's it about the past, unless Gena, you can think of something that we need to say or that we forgot to say.
Tagaresa. Lasso dine tis ya tangdo na.
Lasso. Tongidu.
Oh, lasso tongidu. So sikduk kashe soin tangbo fota, right? Kesa nga shungzab kang la drogo chung. Okay. Shungzab kang la nge lakir soko chung. Shungzap kang la nge lakir sarpa soko chung. Laso. Tine shen go chung pare. Okay. O go chung yo mare. Okay. Not go chung is same sound of the head. Go chung pare o go chung yo mare. Tawangoma nga peyutang jagarki sansamla sorry. Tawangoma kong peyutang jagarki sansamla drogo chung yomare. Kainsina tawangoma kong peyune jagarla namdula chimbare. Lasso. So I just try to use the vocab from the lesson 12. Yeah.
Lasso Genla, thank you. The explanation, but as you have heard us say, it really depends on case-by-case scenario, and that really it's not that Ginla and I like to take so much time to just go over all of these details. It's just that the language really calls for a very deep understanding of the very complex subtleties behind each one of the auxiliaries. So this really deserves a lot of thought and trying to craft your sentences nicely and getting used to how native speakers are utilizing them. So this is why we are spending all of this time. And we hope that you can bring us as many questions as you need in the classroom so that we can help you understand this better. All right, thank you so much. So then let's move to de. And maybe some of you have already heard this verb before. De comes from Tibetan, which means wish for something. Okay. It takes time when I do.
Lasso.
Okay, I'm sorry. It takes a little time, I guess. So what I was simply saying is that de comes from de pa in classical Tibetan, which means to have the wish or to have a wish or to have a desire. And it is also nominalized, so it is the wish or the desire as a noun. Now here in colloquial, when we have a verb followed by de, again, the verbal root is going to be in the present tense, as you have written it here. It means to want to do the verb. Now, it's no longer an obligation, but it's fully depending on your wish, your desire, you wanting to do something, okay? So when I say, oh, I want to go to the beach tomorrow, this is how I'm going to express it. So again, there's also future, present, and past tense conjugations that are involved. But luckily, they're all very simple. And now, after having seen, they will be very easy. So, explanation here. Maybe you just need to really understand which one of the auxiliaries go with each verb. And that's once you get that part, then it'll be easy to remember. So in the future tense, there is no be usually with the where they be there, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Just to want to do something, in the future tense with tak, it'll be verb plus de, and the negation is verb plus deme. And with chen, as usual, there's always two options, inferential, testimonial. So verb plus de yore, the negation de plus verb yomare. Verb plus de yomare. And then testimonial, de du or de mindu, with a verb always in front. That is for the future tense. So basically, the future and the present tense. Yeah, let me just talk about future and present since it's the same thing, and then Genna can give us examples with different time adverbs so that we can fully understand and grasp the difference. In the present tense, it is also de you and de me, and it is also de yore, de yomare, and de du and de mindu with shen. And what will be the difference, again, is the same as the tutsik, the adverb of time that you are going to indicate in your sentence. What you're actually saying when you express de you is I have a desire to do the verb that comes before. Remember that one of the root meanings of you means to have, okay, or the existence of something. So here there is the existence of the desire for the verb that comes before. That's how you can understand literally this. So I think that's it for my explanation.
Cynthia, the do than do mindu the Daglayang degree, a mount bare, Tantaware, Sangma, Daglayang dogre.
That's true, actually. Do and Mindu. So I'm going to add it then. Yeah, that's true, actually. Thank you again, for.
That's so. Tini pena Cynthia la tenda pena mount bala perjured of do down do yoki keparti candidate of do lamna penange tiring Tandanam City pay up your Yana Narang Tandarang Sowachi, Langsingi, Tandarang Sowachi Jere. Oh, Tandaranga Pena Chamjamla Doya Depas Tandarang Jevarava, to do something don't do. The Namjune young chick don't do your pan. Oh, Sani Chichena Tiring Namsi Yapo your mare. Sani Chichena Namsi Yapo yore. Sani Chichena Nghe Robala Yang Tuzu yore, Nganyam to Chamjam Ladroye. Says, oh, Sani nga don't do you. Kindsina Tiring Nala Troyeki Dubati Yomare, Kindsina Nghe Roba Yomare. Says, Dindeki Kebar Troubles. Tiringa, let's say, Koben Gombala, don't do. Chichena, Koben Gombala, Mixagi Karsugure, Shaptenta water, Yana, Chokpata was your, or Mixagi Lamas your, Tiring, don't do. In a sunny, Doyek Debatiyoma, so what the Tandaran Kebato, Roa? Tindeki Chorwagi Kebatos to. So what, Chichena Netang Roa, Namsiki Netang, Chichena Ropagi Netang, Tindeki Kebato was to.
Let it. So what Genla is saying, to Genla, thank you for the explanation, is that so we had forgotten to add the do actually in there, and so we are adding it here. And the explanation is that if all of a sudden you are having a desire that is just how to say, it is just born, as Genla is saying, I'm translating literally his words, a just brand new born desire. All of a sudden you feel like doing something, then you could say do. For example, Genla is given the example if I'm with a friend and we are talking about going for a walk to Kopangompa, this beautiful monastery up in the hill by Boda, up in the hill that we like to walk to. And then we're not really sure as, what the weather is going to be like. But all of a sudden, maybe the weather is good. And we say, oh, okay, then I want to go. All of a sudden, I feel like going. Then you would say, nga dronde du. Because the do implies that discovery of that birth of that feeling that you're having all of a sudden. So it's really beautiful. It's by saying do, you're really letting someone know, okay, yeah, I just got in the mood for doing this. So that's how you say it. In English, we would say that, oh, I just got in the mood, or yeah, all of a sudden I feel like it. This is maybe how we would express it in English. Yeah, I have a feeling, I feel like it, I want to. So then the do is going to be used with tak in that particular case when you're trying to express that all of a sudden having that wish or that desire for that thing that you want to do. So thank you for saying. Like, for example, it's raining. Let's say that you had convened to go with your friends to your friend walking to Copan. And then all of a sudden it's raining. And all of a sudden you don't feel like it anymore. So then you would say, Dronde Mindu, like right now, seeing the rain outside doesn't make me want to go. So then you will say Mindu, because in this particular moment, you are discovering that you're not in the mood for it. It doesn't mean you never want to go. That way, if you never want to go, then you'll say donde me, maybe. Okay. Sorry, Genla. Yes, carry on.
So that di nang la Cindy at the two maung but the two tendawa di the sangma chikba duala.
Let it.
Chesan di la Tuesday de pe catching bore. Rewa Tuesday de pe catching bore. This ro si consola rewa Tuesday de me baina and the two tandawa in dan two deva in dan tandarang pena tandanga koben gombala donde tandarang so what the kiavawa. Digi ko sevo seru to Tuesday di pe sevo sogre. Timato di nang la sevo shetayo mare maung padang tandawa sangma chikba redua.
Lare nge lapsayi yina yang Genla is asking to emphasize, and I said I just said it, but I'm going to say it again because it is crucial, and also you get the opportunity to hear it one more time since all of this material is so new. So Genla is again emphasizing that when a time adverb is really indicated, it's very, very clear that you're speaking in the present tense or in the future tense, and it is essential because we would not know, since you have noticed now here looking at the board, at the chart, that it's actually the same conjugations, then how would we even know what tense we're speaking about? We wouldn't have the possibility unless the context were very, very clear and whether you have a time adverb in there. So please get in the habit of it because that's going to clarify what you're trying to say. So yeah, again, I wanted to emphasize that.
Lasso to say.
Lasso again.
Tine that for future maomba. Lasso.
Oh.
Sanyi 공생대 재장 nga 고벤 건발라 돈데요. Okay, let's see. 산이 공생래 재장 nga 고벤 건발라 돈데요. Okay. 단단nga 추 통대도 단단nga 추 통대도. Okay. 단단nga 추 통대도. Lasso. For the right now, for the present. Okay. 단단nga 추 통대도. And then we go to Shen for future. 로제마 녜로바 도제된라 존드 요레. Okay. 로제마 녜로바 도제된라 존드 요레. Okay. 도제된 Cindyalati injikela kare butkaya. Okay.
Yes. Exactly. It is the diamond seat. Doje is the diamond or the vajra, and then is the seat. So the diamond vaj or the vajra seat is bodhgaya.
So one of the great stupa where has Bodhi tree. There Buddha stay like 6 years meditation, right? So that we call Doje Den. So Tene Lasso for the present tense, Tingsang Kong Nimatakba Chuden La Dronde Yore. Tingsang Kong Nimatakba Chuden La Dronde Yore. Lasso. Lasso. Pajetikitu.
Lasso, touche. So then the past tense again doesn't have a lot of explanation. It's with chung, just like we studied. And go chung, go machung, and go chung pare, and go chung song with the shen, right? So with de, it is the same thing. is de chung and de ma chung with tak, de chung par yo mare with shen, and oh, we have two vowels came here. That's a little strange. Let me write it down. Okay,
Ale.
yes, and then de. Yeah, I don't know why we had a dembu and a naro at the same time. That's strange. And then with testimonial is de chung song and de chung ma song. So very similar, and it's exactly the same explanation as with it with all. So I'm not going to go into the details of it. So we just have to memorize it so that it's easier. So Genla, if you want to give us some examples, that would be wonderful.
Lasso. This ya tang rosi.
Lasso. 동기도가 Genla.
단달래 마스 티 칼리 쪽이 여서다.
Oh, really? Okay.
그래.
No, 좀 사오.
Oh, lips. 다다.
Lasso.
Lasso. So, de chung for self and de ma chung. Kesanga jagarki kala sa de chung. Okay. Kesanga jagarki kala san de chung. Okay, so here is one important one. You see de, and that comes always like qian de. Always come nasalized. Okay, that if I say kesanga jagarki kala sa de chung. Tinde sheta lapki mare. We don't say this. They use san de nasalized. That is very common. Okay. Suppose if you want to say want to buy, I want to buy this and that. We have a nyo, right? Main verb is nyo and secondary is de. We say nyon de. Then we say nyote nyote. Okay. This is also important pronunciation for when you're talking. So nyon de, san de. Okay. So my sentence is kesanga jagarki kala sandu chung. Okay. Ani de chung yo mare. Okay. Let's say Droma, one of name of the person. Droma la kesa 벽에 롭종 제드 중요 말에 로마라 캐서 벽에 롭종 제드 중요 말에 라서 디네 one for the 중송 okay the 중송 둔장어마 녜조조 최대라 꼬라작의 중송. 딘장어마 녜조조 최대라 꼬라작의 중송. 이나양 콩라 튜즈 락마송. 오케이. 이나양 콩라 튜즈 락마송. That's all.
Thank you again. So the last thing about this verb is that we could really emphasize it and say, I really want to do the verb with ning de. So ning, if you can see, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Ning is the word for heart, which also means the core or the essence. So an essential or core desire would be ning de. And the way that this is used is the same conjugations apply, okay? So it's just emphasizing, I really want to do something, or he or she really wants to do something in the future, the present, or the past tense. How the key particle that is used when ningde comes in, and that is, it has a lot to do with the cadence of how we are going to speak and the rhythm. So this is how it should be said, and you should keep it in mind because it is extremely common to use it in daily conversation. So Gena, would you like to say something and read these examples for us, please?
라서 디낭라 라비에 민두 신디아 베야부터 나 직텐송로와 직텐송 디 가르텐송스나 닝 되기레 스게지 레지 텐송로와 디 야믹사레 믹사 시부터 직세나 펜도 요레 디 신디아 닝 되기레데 베나르와 서로한테 단다 요 말에 서로한테 단달랩이 요 말에 키네 단다 딘조 많은 제가 서로한테 단달랩이 요러와 서로한테 마음 바페나 단다처럼 기베나 낭추 롭종 제바이나 제마 걔랑 삼라 러닝 되기래 서로한테 마음 바와 베나 단다처럼 기 낭추 롭종 제바이나 안 직세나처럼 기 마음 발라 걔랑 참라 드닝 되기래. 그러와디 마음바 소와디 걔랑라 립기래. 승이디야 닝제보다 워치도.
Taktare. So we're just adding one. So Gena was saying that he, we had forgotten somehow. I don't know how. That we're adding dögide to the list here, and that. So in the second. I will explain. So Gena, can you please read all of them for us once, and I will explain what you just said. I will translate it in a minute. Thank you.
라서. nga phela drawing 되기요. nga phela drawing 되기래. nga phela drawing 콩 phela drawing 되기요래. 콩 phela drawing 되기도. 라서 다디나네 신디야 drawing 되기도 drawing 되기요래. drawing 되기 예디 간주 남주인 간주 뒤 단다와라 소와디 단다 요르와 다 기레데 마옹바기 체르와 디 소와디 단다 요마르 마옹발레 그래 디직보 개발했어 라서 오케이 신디야라 직전나 타와야 보였어 말에 오케이 let's write
Can you hear me now, Gena?
라 단다 거기도 단다 따따래 승로나
Lasso. Sorry, I took the video off then so you can hear me. So I was saying that when we sing up la doning de Guilleux, it means I really want to go to Tibet. Hello.
거기도 신디야 승로나 단다 약 거기도
Lasso. So it means I really want to go to Tibet. I have the desire right now in this present moment. I do have the desire to go to Tibet, and this is a desire that I'm aware of, that I really want to. Then Kong peut la doning de Guilleux. He or she has the desire to go to Tibet, and then Kong peut la doning de Guido, same thing. He has the desire, he or she has the desire to go to Tibet, and maybe the person just told me, and I am reporting that to the person that I'm talking to, okay? All these, as Gena was saying, can be used in the present and in the future. And we don't know, we will only know based on the context. But this one, nga peut la doning de Guire, Gena is saying that it's important that we understand that only this one with Guire really does express a future desire. This means that you will have the desire to go to Tibet later on, and maybe you will have to have a clear context for that. Maybe if you say something like, after having watched 7 years in Tibet and seeing what a beautiful landscape there is there, I will want to go, right? So you have to have, right, some kind of a clause previous to that. So this really indicates a future tense, whereas all the other sentences can be understood as either present or future. So, Genla, did I say everything that you explained? I think so. Thank you. So then let's just finish with going back to go, as we mentioned when we were looking at go as a secondary verb. Remember, when we were introducing it, we were letting you know that there's actually another way of understanding go, which is go as a main verb. So now you're familiar with the fact that certain verbs can be main verbs and also auxiliaries based on chung, because we've already studied chung and we have seen this kind of flexibility. So now when go is used, I'm going to type it here because I didn't, it'll be more clear, as a main verb, then what precedes go is actually a noun, okay? Noun plus go. And that means to want and to need, okay? And or to need. Something, maybe I should add so that it's a little bit more clear, okay? So in the context of to want, this is kind of very cultural. Usually when you are going out to eat at a restaurant or you're going to order tea at a chakang or you are going to a shop to buy something and the person that is there to offer you a service, either the waiter or the waitress or the shopkeeper, then are going to ask you this question. And you're going to answer, well, we just gave you a very simple answer so that you understand. But it's basically communicating in a polite way in this kind of context when someone asks you, what would you like? What would you like to order today for your meal? Or when you're in a shop and you're maybe looking for a specific item and the shopkeeper wants to help you to let you know whether they have that item or not. And then they'll say, okay, what would you like? So they will use this formula. Genla, would you like to read it for us, please? Genla, are you there?
Yeah, I just meet you. 케랑라 가레고. 케랑라 가레고. So and then the customer say ngala chago. Okay.
Thank you, Genla. So the la is important. Basically, you're saying, to me, there is the wanting for the object, the cha or whatever it is. So kailan la karigo. So what would you like? What can I do for you, basically? And you just say ngala chago. All right, I want to have some tea. I would like for you to give me some tea. Okay, so this is what we wanted to explain, and we wanted to also explain, and this ties up with the lesson that we're seeing right now. The verb go also means to need by itself without having to be a secondary verb. So usually there's a formula, then it's going to be similar to what you already know. So the person, the personal pronoun, or whoever it is you're talking about, followed by the la, and then the noun of that necessity, that the thing that one needs, the object that one needs, followed by go, and then your existential verbs. So we are giving you 3 examples here, and we're going to explain why we can use all these 3 auxiliaries, which is based on the previous chart. So it's going to be exactly the same. So Genla, we up to you.
콩라 박박 sarpachi 고두. Okay. You can also say 콩라 박박 sarpachi 거기두. Okay. So 콩라 박박 sarpachi 고요래. 콩라 박박 sarpachi 거기요래. 콩라 박박 sarpachi 고래. 콩라 박박 sarpachi 거기래. So 거기래, as Cynthia earlier mentioned, that is optional, and then also if there's a key, is more emphasized, more stronger. So normally without key is more common when people speak. Okay. But if you want more stronger, and then you can use ki.
Exactly.
Last.
Thank you, Genla. So he or she needs a new motorcycle. And the meaning behind do is, again, coming, just realizing that now, at the moment of speech, you, the one who is reporting that information about that person. And then if you say yore, is that you know that that person has been needing a motorcycle for a long time and it's kind of a habitual thing. Or inferentially, that somebody, another friend of yours told you that he or she needs a motorcycle. And then the last one, kong la bakpak sarpa gore, is really like a very categoric necessity. Like unless he or she gets a new motorcycle, maybe the one that he or she is using, which is too old, might have an accident or something, and therefore it's a very categoric necessity, and it's more of a fact. So these are exactly the same explanations as we had, as in go, as in secondary verb. So go as secondary verb or primary verb are very similar, actually, okay? The only difference is that as a secondary verb, you have another verb before it. That's all. Now, we have a few more examples. And those examples are also to see what happens with dak and then what happens with shin. So let's go again.
단다랑 나라 찌질랑고지 고두. 나 통계라 내가 제가 drogo래. Let's
Thank you, Genla. So the translation of it is, right now I need a bus. I have to go to work in town. Okay, so the do really here, meaning right now I need to catch a bus, because if I don't, and the tandarang really means like right this moment, because if I don't, then I will not be able to go to work. Okay, lasso. And then the last examples.
ngangukangla drogo래. ngangukangla drogoye. ngangukangla drogodu.
Thank you, Genla. So now again, you probably know the difference. So all three of them can be translated with I have to go to the bank. But now what is going to be the difference between all three of them? So when you say drogore, it's really a categoric necessity to go. Again, it's like you must, because it's maybe the first day of the month and you need to go make some payments. If you say drogoyo, is that you are aware that it's necessity and that you plan on going and that you really kind of know about it and you're talking about it from that perspective. And then if you say do, again, maybe the banker has just called you and let you know that you have pending business at the bank and that you must go and attend whatever that is right away. And therefore you say do because you've just realized that you found out that you need to go. So those are going to be the explanations, and they're tied up again, as I said, with the explanation of the go as a secondary verb as well. So I think this much for today. This is a lot of information. So please take the time to watch the video and then listen to our explanations. And then in class, please bring the sentences that we have dictated to you. And we are going to do practice. So thank you for your patience, and again, thank you for all the explanations. And Sani Jeong.
Sani Jeong. Lasso.
Lasso. Shua.
Lasso Shugo.